Honey, I love you.
We may have watched this Disney star live on The Suite Life for years, but off-screen, it wasn't always smooth sailing for Debby Ryan. The 27-year-old actress basically grew up on 2 huge Disney shows. However, while fans of the star watched her bring the positivity and lighthearted characters Bailey and Jessie to life, it was actually just a facade. Stuck in the clutches of the controlling network, the pressures of being a Disney star were just too much for Debby, who dealt with everything from severe anxiety to vicious feuds with fellow castmates. So what exactly happened to Debby behind the scenes of some of our favorite shows?
The more that I read, the more inspired I became to follow my dreams.
Despite basically being the poster girl for confidence during her time on the Disney Channel, Debby's road to fame wasn't an easy one. Growing up in Texas, she didn't want any spotlight shined on her. Suffering from a speech impediment, Debby has admitted she was often shy and dealt with a lot of self-confidence issues. But luckily, with the help of her aunt, she was able to correct her speech, and it was then that she found her love for acting.
I got into acting when I was like 9 years old. I moved to Germany and I wanted a place where there were other Americans who spoke English, and I joined a theater.
Her mom, who was a drama teacher, introduced her to what would become her favorite place, the stage. Debby opened up to Teen Vogue about her acting beginnings, explaining that it was the freest she felt, just hiding in plain sight. It wasn't long after that her mother realized that for her daughter, acting was more than just a childhood hobby, and Debby soon began landing small roles in commercials. Like her fellow Disney stars, Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez, Debby scored her first TV show gig on the popular TV show Barney and Friends in 2007. Little did she know that just a few months later, she would be starring on one of Disney's biggest series. The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody was and still is an iconic staple for Disney, so landing a main role on the spin-off series, The Sweet Life on Deck, was nothing short of life-changing for Debby. During an interview with Clever TV, she called her experience playing Bailey Pickett insane and couldn't believe just how much her life had changed since filming for the series began in the early months of 2008. Bailey soon became even more central to the story when her southern accent and quick wit captured the heart of one half of the twin duo.
Can you believe we're finally going to see the majestic ancient redwoods?
As her storyline with Cody, also known as Cole Sprouse, began to gain traction, Debby soon became one of the leading ladies on the Disney Channel. She was even given her very own movie, 16 Wishes, and just a year later, her very own Disney show, Jessie.
Make sure he doesn't steal anything.
However, no matter how much Debby loved portraying the fun-loving nanny that seemed to have all the patience in the world, she knew there was more to the film industry than just the claustrophobic walls of being a Disney star. Jessie is a little sarcastic and also aspirational. She's a little dark and funny, she told Teen Vogue. But she's a 28-minute version of a story wherein things work out in the end, which is not real life. And in Debby's reality, being a star on Disney wasn't all picture perfect like the lives of her characters.
I think I made the mouth too big.
While the actress was thriving when it came to landing roles on the family-friendly network, expanding her resume outside of her roles on Disney was almost impossible. When she was offered roles, it was all filtered through Disney executives that set out guidelines for any role she had. During her time on Jessie, Debby guest starred on the medical drama Private Practice, and in 2013, opened up to the Chicago Tribune about how complicated the process was. Of course they set boundaries, she said about Disney. I have to be fully clothed, that sort of thing. Debby was forced to keep her picture-perfect G-rated image even at the expense of expanding her career outside of Disney. Being a teen is hard, but growing up in the spotlight with millions of people as your critic is even harder.
And when it happened in the wake of so much horrifying tragedy and so much being unearthed.
Debby has revealed how that added pressure left her with anxiety and eating disorders during her years on Jessie. She later opened up about being constantly compared to previous Disney stars, and the constant fear of slipping up in the public eye fueled her mental illness. You may be shocked to find out that Debby was also involved in an abusive relationship during her time on the network. In a tell-all with People magazine, she explained that while filming, she was part of a friendship that took a turn. I was in a friendship, kind of a working relationship, and it ended becoming more and more destructive, and getting emotionally and mentally abusive.
And I think before we get to that point, there are a lot of warning signs of mental abuse, emotional abuse.
Thankfully, she put an end to the relationship before things escalated to a dangerous level. In 2015, her contract with Jessie eventually came to an end, with the show reaching 100 episodes and 4 seasons, marking it as one of the longest-running Disney shows ever. However, the drama from her time on the set of Jessie seemed to follow her even outside the Disney gates. Sky Jackson, also known as the adorable and spunky Zuri from Jessie, reportedly accused Debby of bullying her at a young age and recounted their time on set together as being in a constant feud. A Tumblr account reached out to Debby, letting her know that Sky had created a second Twitter account where Debby was being threatened with receipts of her past actions. Sky's been telling me and others you push and bully her. She made a second Twitter which is full of hate towards you and even has her own fans hating on you, even mentioning that Debby was involved with illegal substances. Debby made sure to set the record straight on the online feud, responding to the user by saying, "I knew that the cast were going to grow into double digits and then become preteens and teenagers by the end, and that's a rough age, especially in this industry." Reminiscing about the happy memories she had on set with the younger cast, she realizes that bitterness is not fixable by roller coasters and treats, and that's a truly sad fact. It's no surprise that after leaving Disney, Debby took some time to herself in order to regroup, and to also sort out what direction she wanted her career to go in. "It was a conscious choice for me to duck away and not do a lot of public-facing things, while I created a body of work after Jessie that I was really proud of," she told Teen Vogue. She was also afraid to have the public shaming on former kid stars being projected on her, telling W Magazine, "As I grew and began to find myself, I just did so with discretion. Taking baby steps in the end seemed like the right path for Debby, considering her life post-Disney was anything but picture perfect." Just a year after the series had ended, the actress was arrested for impaired driving. Although she was no longer attached to Disney, the star made sure to address her role as an inspiration to a younger crowd in a Twitter apology. "Over the last few days, I have had the chance to think about my actions, and I wish I had used better judgment. I recognize that I am a role model and have always worked hard to set a good example for my millions of fans."
There are over 8 million people in New York.
Her career seemed to be at a standstill as well. According to Debby, a lot of casting agents just couldn't get past the metaphorical Disney trademark that seemed to follow her. She told Rolling Stone she was forced to bang down some doors that were closed because people saw me with mouse ears. She's also admitted to also loving that she has more freedom now when it comes to the roles she chooses to play.
Play teens and young adults, and I think we're kind of in this suspended, timeless world sometimes.
She thinks of her time on G-rated TV as being stuck in a timeless cycle. But outside of Disney, she's able to explore the depths of different characters. The actress finally found some solid ground when she was cast in the Netflix series Insatiable, where she starred alongside 90s star Alyssa Milano. The dark comedy followed teen Paty Bladell, who after being bullied for years because of her weight, suffered from an eating disorder while also seeking revenge on her haters in the form of winning a beauty pageant.
Say the truth will set you free. There's no freedom.
While the show received plenty of backlash for its portrayal of mental illness, Debby told Teen Vogue that they knew this conversation needed to be had, and that the social brokenness also needed to be discussed in the series. Despite the controversy, the 2018 show still ran on the streaming service for 2 seasons. Insatiable seemed to be the tipping point for the celeb, and now in 2020, she's thriving and better than ever. Not only has she learned to cope with her mental illness, with coping mechanisms like intentional breathing, but her former toxic relationship has been replaced with her loving marriage to 21 Pilots band member Josh Dun, who she describes as her best friend.
We're both public-facing people, and I think it's really important for us to maintain the intimacy of it, but there's a lot in our lives.
Debby's even looking back at her past with a smile on her face. She's been joining in on the internet trend that involves hilarious memes of some of her more awkward scenes. Just this past April, she tweeted, "I was serious about my craft from a young age and studied technique alongside Roxanne from a Goofy movie. Fans in the comments absolutely loved it." Debby also seemed to have found a healthy outlet to reminisce about her time as a child star. She hopped on the trend and started her very own podcast called There You Are with Debby Ryan. Debby herself reasoned that this was the perfect way to explore experiences in her life that she hasn't got to talk about yet. "This feels like a really great place for me to sit down with some incredible, smart, and interesting people that I've met through my work and have those meaningful conversations with them." Career-wise, Disney's leading lady has been working on getting more roles on the big screen and even has 2 movies, The Opening Act and Night Teeth, both in production.
I think any sort of transition is difficult, but I think it's more just about intentionality.
Growing up with the spotlight constantly on her couldn't have been the easiest venture for Debby, especially while being a part of a company that enforced strict rules when it came to her personal life. But besides the few setbacks she had earlier on in her career, Debby seems to be on the right track with a whole list of opportunities in the industry tagging along. What do you think about Debby's behind-the-scenes life? Have you checked out some of her more mature projects since her time on Disney? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to stay up to date on everything the things.